from the Abuja Network Center. Here we'll be taking it up with a discussion on the fuel subsidy removal. It's been 2 months and days since the subsidy removal happened, since May 29th that the president made that pronouncement that subsidy is gone, and we are going to be taking a critical look at what's happening for the past 2 months, how Nigerians have been faring, how the economy, especially the economy, has been faring. There has been criticisms in various quarters that Nigeria is not doing so well since the subsidy removal. On the other hand, the president said that the nation has been able to save ₦1 trillion from subsidy removal. And to be looking at this with me is no other person than Yushe'u Aliu, an economist. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, and good morning, Nigeria.
So let's take an overview of this past 2 months.
When you take an overview from May 29th to August 7th, you realize that there is high inflation, and this high inflation has resulted to many families make certain adjustments where necessary, and also for government to understand that there has been so much in economic activity. You look at this in Nigeria, you realize that even the movement, the transportation sector has experienced so much hurdles. Those include high in also many consumers decided to park their vehicles, and when you go to the filling station, you also see clearly that pumps, a filling station, at least 40 pumps, only 2 are working. We see also high of the product filling station because the low demand, because the purchasing power has been eroded, because the economy as usual, and that is why sometimes some of us who are studying the situation always try to advise government on the best way to see how the economy can be efficient. Not only the economy can be efficient, but the consumer groupings also remain active in the economy, because that's the only way. When consumers remain active, you have positive growth in the GDP. So that means
purchasing power,
of course,
has a negative on the economy.
That is inflation for you, because we will not be tired in defining it for people to understand. Inflation is a persistent, seemingly irresistible upward price level. So when you have general price level, PMS has increased, and that increase will come with an increase in certain percentage year on year. And when that happens, you realize that consumers will have to look at preference. What is my income? What can
my wants and my needs?
My wants and what can I afford? From there, you start dropping certain bundles of goods. By that drop, you are dropping some people's job. And when you are dropping people's job, a negative to the GDP in general. So these are some of the things, a trend that is not good for economies, a trend that is also not friendly to consumers, and friendly to most of the household. If, for instance, you take a look at what is the percentage of increase year on year, you realize 22.9%, which was June, based on Bureau of Statistics. Then what is now going to be the outcome of July? And when you now see the July on, there must be an increase, because from May 29th, Nigerian what has never happened in the economy. It has never happened. Remember, in 2003, there was an attempt to remove the subsidy. Only 13 areas adjusted, and the whole nation went on strike. And that has triggered a lot of economic forces against the consumers. But what transpired on May 29th, situation where an increase of 300 and above, plus 300 naira, and subsequently, because of certain economic policy that is also not friendly with the situation, that is the measure of the exchange rate, where you don't have any window to fall in, then the rate goes up also triggered another function in the pump price at the market, and that also becomes negative to many households, because PMS is nearly consumed by all. The assertion that subsidy is enjoyed only by the few is not true, and I have never bought that idea, because the multiplier effect of price change goes to the denominator of that same increase. So probably what we are going to see in some days is that we want to see government to be more proactive in understanding the plight of the economy, the plight of the consumers, especially the income grouping of the consumers. What do we mean income grouping is that in all economies, you try to find who are the consumers, because major of the world, the economy, the American, the tigers, the Malaysian, the Asian tigers economy, the consultants of economy. And when they study the consulting, they then produce bundles of goods that attract customers, can keep jobs, they create money, and then expand their economy. Income group, the first thing you look at, those income on fixed are category 2. Those are the areas which is always counted in of, and those on wages on more natural counted hours. That one is the effect their own how population at them is then different at different stages, because those who are on fixed probably of certain factors, they cannot any alternative to have a change in them when prices are changing. Therefore, their demand will fall, their power will fall, and their entire confidence in the market will be eroded. That category. The second category of flexible income, people that profit and that times of what they offer in the market. So these have an income to be part of this good. Those even on the income would be difficult to make sales, and that is what transpired. If you get into the market, you see people seated, stranded, no market. At the roadside, the mama food that is selling faster because now transport money has taken away whatever the surplus that is with the way laborers, she cannot make sales. And the which is the most dangerous is the autonomous consumers who don't have an income but they must consume. They are in every family. The family of
the dependent.
So very significant.
Okay. Well, the president broadcast just 2 weeks ago, he made that the country has saved ₦1 trillion from subsidy. So what does this mean? Because from the picture, Nigeria is listening to you and watching you right now.
Yes.
It's of doom. Let me use that word. So what does this mean, saving ₦1 trillion from subsidy?
Saving ₦1 trillion. Sometimes in economics, we always try to use a concept that is in econometrics. We use an error term to determine who makes decision, who makes consumption decision, and what are the forces behind him. The president is an accountant. He's very, very interested in figures. And that is why he quickly announced to the world that we have saved ₦1 trillion, but it's not friendly. That ₦1 trillion is not friendly to this economy. If you are to test brought the ₦1 trillion to the government as saving, and you now look at the cost, ₦1 trillion to the household family, you realize that if you make a multiplier, that is before the removal of subsidy in April, when inflation was 22.22%, and by removing the subsidy on 29th of May, and then coming 67 days down the line, you now check inflation to reflect 22.9%. The difference between 22.22% and 22.79% is a total cost to that generation of that fund. Then how much is being lost by different consumers, same economy, to arrive at 1 trillion. So in an economy, because we deal with value for money, what your money can do in an economy. And that's why sometimes all the policies of the bank, that is the central bank authority, is to stabilize the exchange rate. By stabilizing exchange rate, you are stabilizing the problem in the economy. And when you stabilize the general level of the economy, you now watch the performer. The 1 trillion naira, it cannot go round. It cannot construct a road between probably Abuja to Kano now, using the inflation.
Using the inflationary.
Yeah, it's a good savings, but it's not saving for if you have a perspective, is it saving to share or saving to invest?
To invest.
That is the context at which we are looking for the value of that money. And if you are investing, what are you investing for? Is it in critical infrastructure that will now translate to multiply efficient the GDP factors in the economy? These are some of the contending issues, and that is what we are also watching, to have a broad policy that will now clearly identify the gain made from the subsidy and also gain that is coming to the economy, given a time frame, because short-term effect, medium-term effect, and long-term effect will reveal different error terms.
Okay, we are still importing fuel.
Yeah.
And, the argument has always been that Nigeria should be able by now to produce and not to import. So what it means is that it means bringing back the refineries to work. Question is, should we have a situation whereby Nigerians refineries working? Let's just hope, this is renewed hope, and assume refineries are working, we refine fuel, we don't have to import fuel. Will it change?
And that will, when that statement can be added to put to a context that the gains of that 1 trillion naira should be invested critically, and that's why I was so silent on that, because government has priority under zero-based budget developed by Peter Peer. It's a situation where government must know its own priority, and whatever priority is, good government invest. In my own opinion, it is better for this economy to have any palliative, because palliative is going to be temporal, and it's not active. At the end of the day, what we are looking for an economy that will have a functional refinery. So if these savings that are being targeted for 6 months can be utilized to make sure that we have a functional refinery working, that savings, that's why I say it depends on what you use, where to use the savings for. Share it to the state and local government, and we get refinery different cost. So
when we have working refineries, that means, doesn't mean we're going to be buying fuel at a lesser price?
Yeah, we must buy it at lesser price, because this time around, Nigerians must be proactive in understanding how the economy. Who are the managers of these refineries? Are they qualified to manage these refineries so that we can have a lasting solution? Other economies that is not as big as Nigeria economy are managing refineries. Why, if we can refine 40, why can't we manage refinery now?
Well, Madam, I would like to take the last. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. The discussion here has been fuel subsidy, a critical look at what has been happening in the past 2 months since the removal of subsidy. We will all agree that it is not easy, it's not been easy, and Nigerians can only be hopeful that things get better. And you heard it from the economists, from that 1 trillion naira that has been, it will be better if it's invested than using than sharing it.